Today we're taking a look at Innova's newest disc, the Star Fox. Huge release for Innova fans. Huge release for furries everywhere. I mean, just look at this stamp. You cannot tell me this art was not stripped from some 15-year-old's Tumblr about Neopet fan fiction. The Venn diagram is finally complete. But for those of us that aren't in that demographic, does the Star Fox fly well enough to make it into my bag? Today, we'll find out. And we're starting off on a 342-foot backhand turnover. Basket is off to the right. I've been bagging the Fox for about a week now, so I have a decent idea of how it flies already, and it's flippy. You'll see. Yeah, get down there. That was a pretty flat release, and it's turning all the way. Doesn't even want to come back a little bit. That's going to set us up real nice. And we got the shape of the shot absolutely perfect. Came up a little bit short on distance. We are a little bit outside circle one, and we got danger behind the basket, all sorts of water. So a little bit of a layup for birdie is A-okay. And that turn comes at no surprise because the Star Fox has the numbers 5, 6, -2 turn, 1 fade. So marketed as having a good bit of turn right out of the box. And that understability should help us out here because we got a 350-foot par 4 that plays way longer because we are throwing straight uphill. I like going understable when throwing uphill, kind of compensate for some of that natural overstability that comes from throwing straight uphill. We just want to get to the top of this hill, avoid the trees. Let's do it with Star Fox. Yeah, look at all the understability, even when throwing straight uphill, and we got to the top of the hill, which means we're left with this kind of blind upshot, probably about 150 feet off to the left, really steep slope all around the basket. So it's important not to go deep. I've actually been liking it for those floaty kind of like in between upshots where normally I'd go putter, but if it's a little bit far, I don't mind going Fox. And I feel like this upshot really fits into that category. Yeah, I get around that tree. Oh, that's gonna be perfect. Even though I threw that super soft because that high glide understability, wanted to stay in the air, not fade out too early. Chef's kiss, doing Neopets proud everywhere. And just kidding, we went deep. The one thing I said not to do. So all those good things I said, I take back. Neopets everywhere are weeping right now at this long obstructed putt I have to do if we want any chance of a birdie. Oh, but hey, I'll just ring it up, why not? Which brings us to 267-foot par 3. It's all downhill. Now, like I said earlier, I like going understable for uphill. Understable for downhill, that can get squirrely real quick. But foxes eat squirrels, so we should be fine. We just want to stay out of this right side tree line. That is total jail. Don't want to go in there. Probably gonna have to hang this out a little bit to the left, or maybe just go a lot of highs or have it flip up. I don't know. You'll see when I throw it. Went for the hyzer flip, and it's turning all the way up. And like we said, that high glide, that's going way past the basket. That is at least 100 feet long. So no birdie for us. Yeah, we are way deep in circle 2 here. This thing just goes. You know, 6 glide, some discs, you know, I can kind of take it or leave it, whether or not that higher glide rating is true to the flight. But the Fox, I am completely bought in on the high glide. This thing goes very far, especially for a low speed disc, which I think really, oh, we actually almost made that. Which right off the bat, I feel like this is probably one of the best discs for like newer players. This is one that I would definitely recommend to people who are just getting into the game and want a far flight without having the arm speed to like throw, you know, a distance driver well yet. A lot of turn though. Maybe more turn than I would expect from a -2 turn disc. Innova's had some very sus turn flight numbers over the years. Sidewinder, Roadrunner, I'm looking at you. But if I had no idea what the numbers were for the Fox, you just gave it to me, I threw it in a field, I'd probably give it -3 turn, 1 fade versus the -2 turn, 1 fade. Ooh, but it's staying up in the air there. Ooh, almost got the ricochet into the basket. Instead, we're sliding down the hill. Went from bad to almost very good to bad again. But I don't mind the understability because, you know, when you come out with a disc that you say is understable, I'd rather it be more or too understable rather than too overstable. Not to mention really high glide discs, I feel like kind of lend themselves to a little bit more understability than you might expect. Oh, terrible. Fox Scuba, almost good. And the disc it reminds me of right off the bat is my Mint Lobster, which that's a 5-speed mid-range with that -3 turn, 1 fade. Both kind of have that slim profile and plenty of understability, which is good for this hole. This is a short par 5. It's only 505 feet, but there's a lot of trees to navigate. We got to throw uphill to start out, and I don't mind landing pretty far right. That should open up our options for our upshot, so I think the Fox should play pretty well here. Yeah, I mean, it's just got so much turn. It's got so much turn. It's coming back a little bit because we threw it so far up in the air. That's going to be right in the middle of that right side fairway. Landed in what I would describe as like a perfect spot for the forehand long upshot with something like a Raptor or a PD type disc. Of course, we're not throwing a Raptor PD type disc. We're throwing a Fox. So I'm going to have to try to do something funky on the backhand probably. Honestly, I don't know. We're just going to go hyzer flip and try to hang it out kind of far to the left and then maybe flip a little bit to the right. It's gonna be a tough shot, but we're gonna try it. Okay, and we hit the tree. But again, we threw that so gently and we still got the flip up. This thing just wants to float and turn the entire flight. And again, we got kind of that in-betweener upshot where you kind of want to jump putt, but I don't mind going a little bit higher speed. That sets us up pretty well. And this disc has a profile that I also really like. Like I alluded to, it's pretty low profile, slim hand feel. As you can see here, it's got just the tiniest little micro bead. I actually thought it was beadless when I first started throwing it, but you can tell there's just a little bit of extra plastic on the bottom of the rim there. At the same time, it's got some dome on it. You can see the shoulder ends right about here, which if you look at something like my Lobster, which again, very similar flight, very similar shape, the shoulder ends right here and then it just flattens out completely. Whereas again, Fox, shoulder right here. So you got that dome on the Fox that you're not going to get on a lot of other mid-ranges. That's a trade-off, I think. That's part of why we're seeing that really high glide on the Innova Fox. Star Plastic, of course, one of the gold standards in the game. This has quite a bit of flex for a Star disc. Those things can vary batch to batch, but it seems like the early run Foxes here quite flexible. Now we got this 480-foot par 4. There's OB all to the left, so we want something with that understability here to keep it to the right, make sure that we stay safe throughout the flight. You also don't want to go too far right because then you kind of pinch off your upshots. And the way this hole sets up, I think we could go either hyzer flip, a little bit of a straighter shot, or release it flat, a little bit out to the left, have a drift to the right. Either way, should work out. Look at all that turn. I mean, that's way too much turn, honestly. That, like I said, is gonna pinch us off. Way more to the right than what we want, but let's compare that to Lobster. Try to do this one pretty flat, like we just threw that Fox. Yeah, that's what I meant to do with the Fox. Beautiful flight of the Lobster, but you can see similar levels of understability. Like the Fox might even be a little bit more understable. It's really close actually. And in classic Innova fashion, they already got a bunch of discs with similar numbers to the Fox. When you have the crazy extensive catalog of Innova, that's just bound to happen eventually. Just like the Panther, or what I have here, this is a Champion Manta. Manta has the numbers 5.5, -2 turn, 1 fade. So the only difference is that 1 glide. I will say that the Manta has a very different shape than something like the Fox, because Manta's got that big old bead on the bottom. It's got the convex rather than the concave rim. Really can't get more different as far as hand feel goes. We're gonna throw this, see how it works. And it's understable, but definitely not as understable as the Fox. You can see that faded out at the end after having a good amount of turn. I found that at least that Champion Manta, it's the only one I've ever thrown. Champion Mantas are kind of hard to come by. They only do them in like special batches. Otherwise, you got to go DX. Whereas Fox, I'd say, is more understable if we're comparing to similar Innova discs here. And this puts us in a pretty precarious situation because if we throw this straight, we're going out of bounds because there is a cliffside and water all after that cliffside. So I'm gonna have to take this a little bit wide, a little bit of Anheuser, and just see if we can get to pan to the right and salvage our par. That should work out. Get around that tree. Oh, we did not get around the tree. And we got one more upshot on our hands. Let's make this one count. But again, I'm liking it for these jump shot approaches, which typically is not really a strength of my game, which I think is a really useful aspect of this disc. But honestly, I really think this disc is a front runner for me for my favorite disc of the year, at least as far as like new molds go. Partly because I love understable mid-ranges, partly because I love that low profile hand feel. It's got plenty of understability, super flippy for all sorts of unique line shaping needs. Now, am I gonna bag it? Not really sure yet. Like I've been saying, lobster currently holds that position in my bag. I'm gonna have to do more testing to see fox versus lobster, which one I like more. They're super similar. I think I'd have equal success with either, which means it kind of just comes down to which one I think is cooler. So, you know, the Neopet furry art, can you really beat that? Not sure. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate if you consider giving it a like and subscribing. You can also follow me on Instagram at Flying Fajita Disc Golf or UDisc Community at Flying Fajita. As always, guys, I love you. Take care. I'll see you next time.